Happy Tuesday and good morning, family. As you all are coming into the room, make sure that you drop down in the comments and say hello. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I'm not going to do a long intro today because I have a special guest with me and I want to make sure that we have enough time for you all to hear from her. But if you are new to the channel and don't know who I am, my name is Timlin Bowens and I am America's favorite EA. As an enrolled agent, I'm licensed through the Internal Revenue Service to represent clients all across the country. But I can also represent any client who has a U.S. tax problem. So primarily, I work with people who owe $100,000 or more, or they're being audited, or they're being levied. So these Tuesday streams are to help my fellow tax professionals who are interested in doing the same type of work. And I tell you all, when you reach out and you have questions for me, I am listening, even if I don't get to answer it right away. And as a tax professional, there is more to that than just doing taxes, right? So I focus on representation work, and I would say that's my lane. That's what I love to do. But when you all ask me questions about stuff that's not in my lane, not my area of expertise, I like to go out and look at my network and say, who would be the perfect person to answer these questions? And that's what I've done today. So this has been on the schedule for a while for me and my guests. I didn't promote it a while ago, but the reason that I asked this person to come on and join me, number one, is because she is very genuine. I do feel as this community builds, this channel builds up, that I have a duty, right, to bring you all people that are going to be genuine, who move ethically, and this person is all of that, right? So you may have seen this. Another thing that I really like about this person is that she is very humble and she's an encourager, because as I put part of her bio that she was named by Forbes as one of the top 200 CPAs for 2024. I saw all of these congratulations and I was like, oh my goodness, this didn't just happen. She already received these accolades, but that's the thing about her. She doesn't brag on herself, but she's always there to help. So without any further ado, my guest today is Mrs. Angie T, CPA.
Hi, thank you for having me, Timberland.
You are more than
me?
welcome. I can hear you. I can hear you. Let me check the comments.
Yeah, you almost made me cry.
Oh, now why? So for you all that don't know, I met Angie online, but I actually got to connect with you in person. Was it 2 years ago? We went to Jamaica. We had connected prior to that. Yeah, we had connected prior to that, and one of the things that, like, right off the bat, I could tell that you were genuine, and you've always been there to encourage me along the way, and I really, really, really appreciate that. But this isn't about me today. We're going to talk tax planning. So before we get going with who you are, you have some folks that already know who you are in here. So we have Erica saying hello from New York. Miss Dorothy says, hey, Miss Timlin. Hi, Miss Angie. We have Sandra Easley. She's here in Louisville with me. Hello. Vincent from New York City says hello. And I do have to give this disclaimer, you all. So I am not in my usual location today, so I don't have my second screen, so I can't see LinkedIn. So if you're tuning in from LinkedIn, you have to make sure that you give StreamYard permission to show your comments, or else me and Angie won't see them until after the fact, okay? Because it doesn't show up in the numbers or anything over here. So right now, we are looking at 9 people on YouTube. We got 2 on Facebook. Usually we have around that same number on LinkedIn as well. But like I said, LinkedIn family, make sure you give us permission to see those comments. And here they go. See, the people are here to
All
see you.
right. They're
Uh,
wonderful, wonderful.
so we have some more, and you guys, I'm not going to be able to pull everybody up on the screen today. Like I said, this is a special treat. I was able to get a hold of Angie to get her to be here today. But Angie, for those of you that don't know you, I've already told them you're all that bag of chips with the soda on the side because you're not going to tell them that. But will you give a little bit of backstory, like how you became a CPA and what you're doing now in your firm? Sorry.
Absolutely. Perfect, perfect. Yeah. So there is a little delay. So I'm always going to pause a little bit before I start talking just in case we cross over to make it listener friendly. So I have a 30 plus career in corporate audit. So I started out as an auditor, and let me tell you, I fought it tooth and nail to be a CPA. I did not want it. You know how young people don't know what's good for them. But the chief auditor at the time where I worked, he insisted on having his whole staff be CPA. So I was like, okay, whatever. I did it, and it was in a box for many years until I had this bright idea to be an entrepreneur and start my own practice. Then I had to go dig it out and dust it off and recertify. Like you have to get it active again and so on. But once a CPA, always a CPA. And anyway, you and I both know it's not about the credential, it's about the professional. We make the credential. So we're going to be here to do the work. I started my own practice. I quit my job March 2019, left corporate and go full time into my business. In the pandemic was my first full time year in this business. But what I noticed is that when I started, there were not a lot of coaching people who kind of, were like, could identify with me and
Mhm.
like teach. Like we would take a lot of training, technical things, but nobody to really help you turn that theory into practice. So that's why my firm was born. I hope that gives them a little bit more idea. So compliance and ethics are everything to me.
Yes, absolutely. And back in 2019, I don't know if you know this, that is the year that I went full time. So, you can't really
Similar.
half-time parenting. So my daughter is in preschool part-time. She started kindergarten in 2019, which is crazy because now we're looking at middle school next year. But I went full-time that year. I said I'm going to put everything into it, and then bam, the pandemic. So again, going back to like the way that you moved and being morally sound, there were a lot of scammers popping up in that 2019, 2020 era. And
Yeah.
like you said, they would teach just the theory because they hadn't actually done the work. So, with that being said, I believe there are probably quite a few people watching this that were misled as well. When we're looking at tax preparation and tax planning, often because we want to help the client out, we bunch them together. But what is tax planning on its own?
Right. So when you're planning, actually, when you're preparing, because most people have that as their foundation, they tend to be saying, well, why don't they do this? Or why don't they do, telling the client, hey, why don't you max out a 401k, for example? Or I see you haven't fully taken advantage of your HSA or things like that. But they're giving away free advising, right? And nothing wrong with planting a seed initially, but the planning is much more comprehensive. And it's not based on just that year's return that you're preparing based on some tax documents. You're actually talking to the client, listening to the goals and letting the goals lead what strategies you're going to implement and deliver as an actual tax plan. Much more comprehensive, as I said, and goals are leading it, not taxes. People say, I just want to save taxes. I'm paying too much. But what does that mean? Getting into really the nitty gritty of what the client is needing and not just to minimize tax, but to audit proof them.
Yes, and with that, I think there's this misconception when we say audit proof, we're not saying that you'll never be audited. What we're saying is we're going to have everything in order, all T's crossed, all I's dotted. So if it does happen, you're good, right? Um, it's funny that you brought up people will say, I want to save on taxes, I want to save on taxes, but then they don't realize that tax planning is a separate investment. You have to pay to play.
That's right.
And just for our circular 230 folks out here, because you're a CPA, I'm an EA. I think one of the things that we kind of skip over in there is that we aren't supposed to give certain advice unless we have an engagement. And I don't know about you. When I have tax preparation engagements, it doesn't include tax planning. That's a separate engagement.
It explicitly says in the tax engagement letter, preparation engagement letter, that advising is a separate offering. Oh, sure, we offer that, but let's get into a separate engagement, and you should plant that seed.
And that's great advice. So just for the people listening, they're like, oh, but I see so many opportunities. Don't feel that pressure to give that free advice if the ethical part will stop you in the back of your head, like, oh, we actually don't have an engagement. I shouldn't be doing this.
That's right. That's right. And it's funny you should say that, because confidence has a lot to do with it. Having to, just building up that courage to say, you need a tax plan, Mr. Taxpayer. How do you approach that? Well, sometimes the client is the one reaching out first by asking all these questions. And that's your segue into, well, let's discuss a separate engagement.
Perfect. So with tax law, we have a lot of different areas. We do both work in the representation space. You work in the planning space. We don't do that over here. Not the way you do in Focus. How did that come about in your firm where you knew like you wanted to offer tax planning at a higher level?
As you know, I've mentioned, I'm a career auditor. I will never not be an auditor. I think like an auditor. And so actually the representation is my favorite piece, only because I have an investigatory mindset. Like, I just think like problem solving, and I'm a negotiator. I like to fight with the IRS, and more importantly, I like to win. However, what I noticed was, after you fix the problem, which a lot of taxpayers were looking to minimize taxes in the first place before they got themselves into trouble. So now you realize they need something else. And so it's a perfect way, follow on, as they say, a follow on engagement to get into tax planning. Okay, now that we've cleaned up your books, because even some people out here are bookkeepers and they're cleaning up books, and they recognize they need that for the tax prep part. Then they did the prep and they now have outstanding liability, they're out of compliance. You solve that. And then what? Now you move into a maintenance and planning engagement, if it so feeds. Now you just have to know how to look for that.
So with you already having a mind built to do the investigative work, for somebody who may be interested in tax planning, you mentioned the confidence. What are some things that they could do to, this is going to be a two-part question. One, work on that confidence to be able to say, hey, this is a separate engagement, not give it all away for free and the implementation, right? And then two, to learn about tax planning.
Okay, so the first thing is, with the confidence part, many people, here's the biggest fear. Oh, what if I miss a strategy? What if I tell them something that doesn't work? What if, right? And then that ROI piece on whether they pay me. So let's say you're going to charge $10,000. I'm making it up. It's charging $10,000. How do you know if that value is there? So that's the first thing that's going to mess with your confidence, because you're not really sure. But I'm telling you, you should start small, couple of strategies, and then build up. This is what I did. And initially, everybody said, that's all you charge, Angie? That's all you charge? Well, that's because it's a confidence thing. When I see and impress myself, And I can then raise it to the next level, to the next level. But even before that, to the second part of your question, is study. You have to take classes. You have to know. So many of us subscribe to this, pay for that, network with that, get templates for this. And then we're paying, and we're not getting any better because we're still not we don't know how to convert that theory into practice. And so we're paying for them, but we're not going to the classes. We're not studying. And for your Christians out there, study to show thyself approved. That's one of my favorite scriptures. You apply it to everything. Not studying, you're going to not serve the top quality or the optimal deliverable you want to give to your client to then build your confidence. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And you all know I'm a PK. So I could, it's funny because I already had that scripture. And I think too, we subscribe to the pay for this network and all of that, studying. And then the second part is actually doing the work, because you can study all you want, but until you actually go out and work with the client, you have to test the things that you've learned. And sometimes we do mess up, right? Everything's not going to be perfect along the way.
Yeah.
You've been dropping some gems, so I'm trying to like make sure I want to listen and keep track of stuff to follow up on. When you first started this, when you first started this conversation, though, you mentioned that there was nobody out there really like guiding or doing anything. So, one of the things I always talk about here on this channel, if it's in an article, if somebody DMs me, is having mentorship, right? Because yes, you need to study, yes, you need to do the work, but just like when you first get your driver's license, you have to have so many hours with somebody that knows how to drive, right? Now, I know to get the CPA license, you have to sit under somebody for a certain amount of time, but there isn't that type of requirement when you start your own business. So it's on us to go out and find our own mentors. And fortunately enough, for people who are
But we
interested,
can make it if we want.
yes. And if you were going to say more right there, I will let you go.
Yes, we have to be the ones to look out for it. And I'm speaking from a person who likes to learn. And I also like shiny new things. I'm one of those technology people. I like to everything that'll help you do your practice better. Because what do I know about running my own practice? Nothing when I started, right? I'm just taking my imprisoned corporate brain and I'm breaking out of that mindset into entrepreneurial thinking and how to grow a business. So there was some pain. There's some pains, as you get to different stages, you're going to be learning how to implement certain things. So I too pay for these things. But what I'm finding even though there's lots of knowledge there, a lot of them are talking at you. There are a lot of talking heads telling you do this, do that, this, and all you can do is chat or post, and you can't really get interaction with true coaching and mentoring to really, because we learn differently. All of us learn differently. And you had alluded to that in the beginning. We all learn
Mhm.
differently. And sometimes you just need to have a conversation to say, well, this is my question. And then you say something as the answer. And I'm like, well, I don't really get it. Can you clarify? Sometimes you can't get that in some of these memberships where we're participating. And it's not fair. Then you don't feel complete. And then guess what? Comes back the insecurity of starting over again. Well, I know I'm an EA. I know I'm a CPA, but I still don't feel like I can do this work. And that's part of the problem. But I do want to say this one thing to our aspiring EAs and our aspiring CPAs, that this is a test taking skill that you have to master first. If you've been doing taxes a while, you already know taxes, my friend. It's just the exam, it's challenging. And you need to discipline yourself to pass the test. Then you get into the practice to really learn. That's how you're going to learn, by picking up the phone and calling the IRS and representing, by analyzing tax returns and presenting a tax plan. Mhm.
Yes, perfect. That's why I tell people on here as well, your test, like passing the test doesn't mean that you know how to do the work. Just again, using the driver's license
Right.
example, I remember the day I got my license. Did I really know how to drive? No, but I'm a good test taker. But
You
now,
see?
about 20 years on the road, I think I'm better. But even with that, I had to get out on the road and drive, right? I had to do those highway drives. I had to put the work in. But you gave me perfect segue. Um, you actually have something available for people who want to learn about tax planning to offer that service. And also, you have a new collaboration with the representation space as well. And I will say this before anybody clutches their pearls or anything like that. Um, I mentioned this to you already, so I'm just going to say it to our viewers. I got some messages about me having Angie on with me today, inquiring about why I was having her on. And I said, well, that's my friend. And they said, well, don't you all kind of do the same thing? And I said, yes and no. I can't add Angie's Jamaican sauce onto what she does, right? And Angie does things different than I do. So as we talk about the executive touch, hers does have, I can't even say more of a tax planning focus because I don't focus on tax planning in my program. It's primarily for people that want to start and run an enrolled agent firm. Whereas Angie does teach the representation piece. And like I said, she has a new partnership and she can talk about that if she'd like. The way I teach and do stuff is going to be completely different. Now, the fundamentals are going to be the same, but as we've both said, people learn different, and there are enough taxpayers and tax issues and enough of you all that want to learn. Angie and I are not a threat to each other. So for anybody worried about that, I just wanted to calm your little spirits down. Um, Angie, before we talk about the executive touch, I am going to just say hey to a few more people because I see the comments coming in. So if you were on LinkedIn again, remember to give StreamYard permission to show your comment and your name, because right now we're just saying, hey, LinkedIn user, but we appreciate you checking in with us. Hello, Yulia in California. Dorothy T from Arizona. Thank you so much for getting on because I think it's only 8:26 out there. Carlos is here from Kansas. Tyrone is here from Tennessee. Says, hey fam. We've got a quick question for you, Angie. Let's see if it's a quick question or not. So please, what has been your greatest area of challenge you may advise fellow professionals to be wary of leveraging your experience? That's a loaded one.
It's a very loaded one and can go many ways, but I'm going to tell you, we each have our own issue. So I'm a spender. Okay. Clearly, I'm used to a corporate budget, can do whatever you want. So I do have to reel myself in. And I'm glad for colleagues who say, Ange, you can't have everything. But I'm also trying and testing, and I'm sure a lot of you are doing that too, right? There's no one software that does everything. So you want to be careful of that. But if it comes to clients now, not everybody is your client. I know Tim Lynn's going to agree with this. Like, you can't take every case. You absolutely cannot take every case. You have to vet these people to not waste your time. You have to know when to let cases go. You have to know when to close. Listen, it all starts with that engagement letter. So you better have that engagement letter protecting you, saying, you know, when there's no refund, saying when a time's up, pencils down, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And this goes with prep, this goes with representation, planning, all of it. Protect yourself. Work a lot with your professional liability company.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I forgot. I think it was Erica said Angie stay dropping gems. We could leave right there. I was talking about that in my group last week because I wrote an article managing client expectations, and the engagement letter is our friend. There are so many people that I see say that they work with clients without an engagement letter. And I said, no. So that outlines the part we like, our price, right? But our expectations from the client, what they can expect from us, and communication. So yeah, I wish I was on the other side today, Angie, so I could be taking notes too. But let me see. Let me make sure we don't have any other
Yes,
questions.
you'll watch it back. You'll watch the replay.
Yeah, watch the replay. You guys be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Um, so Roxana is here. Says hello, hello.
Yay.
Tanika Mann is here from
Appreciate it. Appreciate all
Virginia.
these.
Virginia out there with you.
Oh yeah. Woohoo. I'm in Northern Virginia.
Denise is here. So I will let you
Hi,
get to the
Denise.
executive touch. And this is funny. I'm going to speak to this part. Angie does like to spend. But not necessarily, I wouldn't say like in a bad way. There are things when you come from corporate and come down, it's like, oh, I miss this. Like tax professionals I was talking to, they had never had a 415 party. And like, that's part of the culture I came from. So I was like, nobody's going to celebrate that we're done with tax season.
Yeah.
So one of the really cool things, which you all didn't get to do here because of weather, is that Angie has combined travel with learning. I've heard people call it destination education. So I got to spend, was it almost a week in Jamaica with Angie
Yeah.
while learning.
Yeah.
We did actually work. It was a really, really cool experience. And the part that I love about her program is that if you are used to working corporate, those meetings and things, it feels like a team. And then the outings as well with the Jamaica trip. Now, hopefully you were going to mention the annual Jamaica trip, but for those of
Yes.
us,
I absolutely.
okay, for those of us that have been listening and we're like, Timlin was right that Angie T is all that in a bag of chips. Like, how can we find out more about her program, the Executive Touch? Will you tell us what the Executive Touch is? And I guess kind of what your thoughts were behind it, because you've already talked about it a little bit. There was a hole that you needed to fill. But I'll let you take it away.
Perfect. So yes, the so Angel Financial Services was my original firm doing the B2C tax work, so on and so forth. And then I started creating education courses because I saw people listen, when you do representation work, and I know you see this too, when some returns come across your desk by EAs, by CPAs, by JDs, it's shocking the lack of knowledge and the types of errors that you see. And it's not being judgmental, it's just in the sense that some people just take the volume work and don't really go back and learn the changes in the tax codes and whatever. So errors are going to happen, but some of them are really outrageous, and that I saw that there was a need to train. So I got myself to become an authorized IRS CE provider so that it would be worthwhile because you're paying for so many things already. If you're going to subscribe to our membership, we want you to have CE credits as well so you can knock out two birds with one stone. And I'm also registered with NASBA, so CPAs can get it live right now until I, finish my application on the online, but because NASBA is a little bit more tricky. But for IRS people, in fact, in Angel Financial Services, I created the program, the Executive Touch. That has 10 CEs right now. You could virtually go in there on your first month and take all of them. And so there's 5 representation ones and 5 planning. Now, just to be clear, it's not replacing 101. Like, you should still be taking courses, which is why I am proud and pleased and honored to say that Tyrone Taylor's, he's an EA. His pro tax education is being featured by Executive Touch because he's the 101 guru. He's really great at breaking down technical knowledge and information from the IRS. Mine is more about, okay, you got that. You're an EA now, you got your credential, you've studied, you've learned 101 and you're still like afraid to fly. That's more of what my program is about. And also about all of us, meaning the great minds of like a Timlin and Roxana and Camille. We have all these great practitioners out there. I don't know everything. Roxana's in California. If I have a California question, she can now answer. I'm a New York CPA. I also have, others out there in different states that can support. Some of us get overwhelmed with capacity problems and having problem with resources. This is a place where we know we're all training together. Don't be afraid to say yes to an engagement because you don't know or really fully versed on PTET or depreciation, Form 3115 accounting change. We have people who know that. And Executive Touch, I know people are saying, oh, another guru, another coach, somebody selling something, but it's not that. It costs money to run a platform. And I do want to address Timlin's comment about people saying, oh, hey, we're competing. We're not competing. There's 15 million taxpayers in collection and another 7 million out of compliance and counting. And we're all overwhelmed. I can't do it by myself. Sometimes I feel like I'm doing it by myself because I have a 24-hour day sometimes. And it's crazy. We don't want to be drained. There's plenty of work for everybody. And then now, hey, I know that Timlin resolved that payroll issue, let's say. Let's collaborate on this. She'll do that piece and I'll do another piece, or I'll do the planning piece, or I'll do the prep piece, or whatever. You can break up your case. So if you're a solopreneur, you don't have to be alone. That's what the collaboration is all about. And also, yes, the Jamaica is there. So let's treat ourselves after the tax season. I'm getting ready to send out the landing page. It's actually ready and we're just testing it out just to make sure everything is working fine. But we're going to be going back to Jamaica in July 3rd through the 7th, if I'm not mistaken, whatever, you'll get the real dates. But I usually do it right around that time. School is out. Bring your children who work for your business to tax deduction. Come on, let's make it a family affair. So I'm going to be quiet now and see if there are any questions.
Thank you, Angie. Yes, my daughter told me that I'm not going back to Jamaica without her. She was like, I do work in your business and you didn't even take me. So we will be working on that. I like that you touched on too collaboration over competition.
Yes, that's good
Because
for her. Sometimes we're breaking up. But can I tell you, the first time I saw Tillen speak, I said, oh no, I must have her at my next event. And that's why I tried to woo her and convince her to come and speak in Jamaica where Timbaland presented on hiring family members or children in your business. It's in Executive Touch right now. So people can watch that as well.
And you were talking about me making you cry. I was honored. Again, not just because, like, don't get me wrong, Jamaica was amazing, but I think you saw me speak in like 2021, but you followed and encouraged me along my journey. Because some people may not know, they may have just met me last year when I launched my own platform. I was running from teaching tax professionals on my own platform, and you were like, get out here. What are you doing?
Yes.
I was like, I'll teach on yours. I'll do this. And you were like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No,
Yes.
ma'am.
You have a voice that's encouraging, and it just has a calming. You just have a way of teaching. Actually, Tyrone is pretty good like that too, and that's why it's good to be connected professionals such as yourself, because you have to break down material in a way that's palatable on a topic that's so technical and difficult. It can be, so really appreciate you and the lessons you put out there.
I appreciate that. And it might be time. I might owe you updates. I need to look at my my update schedule. Um, but yes, I think really like us being here today, what you talked about with the executive touch, it is collaboration over competition. There's so many times as solopreneurs, we think that everybody else that has letters behind their names is competition. And that will all keep our businesses this small. Because even with tax planning, I know
Right.
people who like to create the tax plans, but they don't like to implement it. And there are people who love to do the implementation, but they don't want to sell the tax plan. Those are not competitors, those are the perfect collaborators. But
Yes.
until you get in a community and meet those people, you wouldn't know that. I will represent somebody in an audit, but I don't like to actually go and do that. I say, hey, Angie, hey, Antonio, like, I don't want to do this, but that's you all's jam. So
Yes.
it's good for me to know people like that so that I'm still taking care of the client, even if I'm not working with them directly.
Yes. And that's value. That's value, and it's actually a care for the client and with respect to the deliverable.
Mm-hmm. So, Angie, this question is for you. Tanika asks, do you offer any ethics CE course?
Now that you ask, I'm going to do one. The IRS actually said that to me. I was speaking when I was putting my whole package together. The IRS agent said you should do ethics too. It's been on the book, but I can tell you I'm so busy. But that's what I'm saying. When this platform grows and takes care of itself, I can focus more on better education, bringing speakers in on topics that you need. And if you need ethics, I'm going to put ethics out there for you.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the beautiful things about when you get in on a platform at the ground floor, which is funny. I met with my group last week and we had somebody new in there that never been on the call. And I said, okay, what do you all want me to cover next? And people were just giving their requests. And it was funny because I don't think that the new person thought, like, no, literally, you're in here at the ground floor. Like, what do you want? Like, we have the capacity to do that
Mhm.
right now. So if you're
That's
looking
right.
for an ethics course, Angie's supposed to be working on one. Carlos says, this is really the community I need. Denise said, love this. What a
Yay.
great opportunity for those new in the industry.
Can I say I love Denise? I know Denise from AICTP. So I
Oh,
listen to it
cool.
all the time. You have these masterminds, and I'm not to knock anything, but I hear a lot of times people who go through programs such as that and still have not sold a single tax plan. And it just baffles my mind. I mean, I've sold over 30 already, and they come every season. This is the season for it, guys. So you need to be going through your book of business right now. This is your homework. We give homework every time we speak. We give homework. This is your homework. You're going to go through
I
your
did
book of
too.
business. Yes, you got to go through your book of business in your tax prep season, early season and late season, and look for the ones that you almost fall off your chair because they paid so much tax. And you know, and deep in your heart that you can save them money if only. And I challenge you to close that deal. If you need my help, reach out. Reach out. You can comment and say, hey, I'm interested. A lot of you can find me on Facebook. You got my email already, and I can give it to you later, but just reach out, get on the calendar, and let's close that deal.
Yes, and I don't know if you were going to bring this up. Like I said earlier, you guys, Angie's very humble, does not brag on herself. Right now, you have an interesting promo with the executive touch that I think is for the remainder of the year. Do you want to talk about that a little bit before I go to more
Yeah.
questions?
Right. Why not test drive, right? So on Wednesdays, we have a power hour from 3 p.m. That's tomorrow, right? 3 p.m. Eastern time, right? One whole hour. And mind you, we talk so much, we go over the hour. It's terrible. I have to start cutting down. We're giving you away free stuff. But this is where you can redact your case, bring your case, and get your questions answered. What are you going through? We're answering all these great minds are on call. I don't know everything. I don't have to know everything. We're teaching you why I call it the executive touch. We're teaching you to be an executive. You're a CEO in your business. And so you need to be managing the business, closing deals, bringing more work, and divvying it out, delegating to others so that they can get a chance to learn too. You only work on the more complex cases. But on the Wednesdays at 3 o'clock, you're going to come in with your case redacted and we're going to talk whatever issue you want. Sometimes that's the representation hour on Wednesdays, but sometimes we talk planning. And on Fridays at 3:30 Eastern time, we do the planning power hour. And we go over time on that too. And we redact and we say, listen, I want to save the client some money. What can we do here? And we'll powwow together as a team. And I'm telling you, you haven't seen anything like it. You will get answers. Okay. And it's really extraordinary the amount of minds that come in onto these groups and willing to share and answer questions. So now the regular executive touch, the middle membership is called senior management. There's an executive board meeting we do once a month. That one is recorded and it's an hour and a half. And we're talking practice management, pricing, legal things, anything, because we have attorneys who come in, we have former IRS agents, we have advanced strategists. Listen, strategies that you never even knew existed. So that's it's complimentary until the end of the year so that you can test drive.
Yeah, which is an
Thank you,
awesome
Erica.
opportunity. Which is an awesome opportunity. And Erica is right. There is so much information and encouragement. And Angie is right. She does go over the hour. Like I said before, Angie's definitely a giver. So especially if you're going in there and you're getting information, Angie's not making me say this. I'm telling you this because I've sat in on the tax planning hour. Buy her a coffee, cash app her or something, because it definitely it's worth it if you're in the membership. But she's giving you access to that for free for the remainder of the year just to try it out. But you actually are going to have tangible takeaways. And that's something that I don't want you all to miss out on or take for granted if you're interested in doing tax planning, right? So, Tanika, you are too kind. Tanika said, I agree. Timlin, you are a great teacher. I appreciate that. I think I brought this up, but Angie, do you want to answer this? Tanika asked, what do you mean by creating the tax plan and not implementing it?
Creating the tax plan and not implementing it. So I don't recall where I said that part unless we were talking about suggesting strategies to the client, like if you're giving it away, advising for free, and not. So I don't know. I don't remember saying that because you certainly don't want to create a tax plan. Now, some people go ahead. Oh, you said it. Oh, okay.
I said it. Yeah.
Go ahead,
I didn't know if
it
was something that you work with people on as well. So, Tanika, I was saying is some people, they don't want to do the actual work to implement. Let's say if we're converting to a different entity type and setting up the payroll, what they do is the analysis. And as Angie mentioned, they look at the goals and they look for areas of opportunity, but then they don't actually implement those things themselves. Again, it would be a separate engagement and additional services as well.
Yeah.
But did you want to speak to that?
Some people do that. Yes. There are some practitioners who prepare a tax plan and a separate fee for the actual implementation, but I do one thing. So say, for example, I'm making it up. Let's say I charge $7,500 for a basic tax plan. And I say, okay, we're going to hire your kids. We're going to elect S-Corp. We're going to implement a HRA. Let's say those three things. And I gave them the tools. I explained what the strategies are and how to do it. The actual implementation may come from their bookkeeper, or if the taxpayer is savvy enough to do it his or herself. But they may want to ask me, okay, going forward, okay, now I hired my kids. How do I track the time? How do I set them up on payroll? How do I issue the W-2? That's implementation. Okay, I told you you can hire kids, but how do you actually implement? So that's why you want to build it into your pricing structure if they're going to come back and ask questions. I am not a fan of nickel and diming. So I like to figure out a way where I can give them something where it's going to be reasonable on both sides. Most people are normal. Some people are not. Some people will think that they can call you at midnight and ask you everything and what's your personal cell, and they want to like your firstborn and all. But most taxpayers are at least the caliber of people we're trying to get as tax clients. We are going to get clients who respect your time. And once in a while they'll send you an email, I'm doing this, and they'll schedule time on your calendar if they're in an engagement, that kind of thing. Normal. And to me, I'm building a relationship with these people where please do not go and buy 6 commercial properties without asking me first, or selling a bunch of shares that's going to create capital gain and give us a nightmare. So I do want them to be able to talk to me. Again, I can't tell you what to charge. One of the things I learned from an earlier coach is how to, calculate my expenses for the month and how much I would want to earn as a profit to live. And then you calculate backwards and say, well, if I'm charging this for these services, then I need this many clients. You understand? So the math has to work where it makes sense for you to be offering that particular service. I hope that answers your question.
So Tanika switched platforms on us, but she said, I understand from you too.
Okay.
And I like how you hit on pricing too, because I did an article last week on pricing because people ask like, well, what should I charge? And, we have value-based pricing. If we're talking tax prep, we have forms-based, and we have all these different things, but you're not going to have the right answer if it's apples and oranges. We have people that want to compete with, I won't say a big box brand on here. I don't want anybody coming after my video, but they may be able to do $85 for a 1040. You can't because they have the volume. You have to consider your overhead and all those different types of things. So I appreciate you echoing me on that. See, I told you guys, the fundamental stuff we talk about will be the same, even if we don't deliver it the same.
That's right.
So King1234 says, hi, Timlin and Angie. As a middle-aged person looking to reinvent themselves in the tax industry, do you think it's a smart move? Thank you.
Oh,
Angie.
my goodness. Absolutely. First of all, please, I'm not afraid to say I'm 58 years old. Woo-hoo. I'm going to be 59 in January. And that's why I do a lot of giving back, because I ran through corporate and did my career. I reinvented myself. When I was 48, I got laid off for the first time in my career. Can you imagine? Somebody told me I wasn't good enough to be in their firm. And you know what? Who cares? It was the best thing they ever did for me. I started my practice, even though I did get another job, but then it grew so fast that I had to quit in 2019. That's what I was trying to explain. And it's not too late, because you probably have so much to offer from all your years of experience. Now you're just going to rechannel it, right? However, I'm saying the word right. Rechannel it into something that is productive and valuable to other pros coming up. We would love to have you in the platform, because I can imagine you have a lot to offer on different tax topics and experiences that you've been through. Get away from the volume work, okay? The planning is so rewarding because you are helping the client stay compliant as well as save taxes.
Thank you.
Check us out for free.
Exactly. And I don't think that Is it executivetouch.com? What's the actual website they would go to find it?
So they would go to angelfinancial.services, angelfinancial.services. So not
Okay, I'm
.com,
going to put this.
.services, and blame GoDaddy because Angel Financial wasn't available. .com wasn't available. So angelfinancial.services until we branch out, because we're changing the platform. We're going to make it bigger, larger, better. And what I expect to do eventually with the membership, we're now going to be able to leverage technology, like our cyber vendors. We're going to be able to leverage marketing. We have great marketing help. So a lot of the people in the platform get marketing help as well. And we have legal leverage. So a lot of our clients need to work on their structure, get legal advice on risk with their business. We have a legal person who comes in and consults Executive Touch as well.
Cool beans. I wanted to make sure that we got that part in there. I did put it in the chat so you all can get to that if you're on Facebook or YouTube. LinkedIn, I will come back and put it in the chat because, again, unfortunately, it didn't follow through over there. So Carlos Salgado says, I love the comment, collaboration over competition. Really said a lot from her. Thank you, Carlos. Let me see. Could you give us all a single piece of advice who has just made... Sacha, will you actually rephrase that unless you understand it, Angie? My brain's not working right now.
An entry to this domain. And by domain, does he mean this industry kind of trying to come out? I think the N is missing from entry. He just made an entry to this domain, a single piece of advice. Yeah, learn.
I would say yes, entry. He is he's pursuing the EA credential. So I think you're right.
Yeah. Yes. Study. That's what I'm saying. Study and you need a mentor. You really do. Follow America's favorite EA, which I think you're already doing. That's vital because you're working on the credential. Listen, guys, we said this at the beginning. Credentials don't mean you're the best thing since sliced bread. What it means is you have a commitment to the profession, and you should try to be the best in your profession. It's highly competitive in the sense that lay people love credentials, and it shows that you can study and you can do this, but there's more to it than that, is what we're saying. You got to take the steps to the next level. You want to get hired by high level clients, well, then you got to produce high level work, quality work. And studying is the only way to do that. Study and surrounding yourself with the best resources. That's how you're going to produce quality results. Oh, yay. That's the website. And there are 3 levels. So there's an entry level at $97. And as I said, that gets you the forum. You get the CE credits already launched there. We'll be adding to it as we grow. And then there's some events that come out. We'll tell you when they are. And we have occasionally, there's a whole lot of benefit to that level as well. And it's a place to start. Eventually, we want to grow you to the senior management level where it's paying itself back. We're implementing earn while you learn. In other words, so my other practice is Oasis Tax Advisory, and I close cases, engagements faster than I can execute them. So we're always looking for people to get the work. So while you're learning the theory, here comes a case you can work on and get some experience till you build yourself up. And hopefully, eventually, it'll just be a collaborative thing for you to still stay as a part of our group. But you'll see as the benefits grow.
Well, thank you, Angie. Again, it has been my pleasure to have you here on the platform. I'm going to leave this website up so you all can go check it out. Again, it's the angelfinancial.services. We have 7 weeks left in the year. I hope you're not working that Christmas week or Thanksgiving week. So that'll give you guys 5 to go check it out. Angie, is there anything else that you would like to say before we end today's stream?
I just want to wish everybody a strong finish. We're probably going to have a nice, quick webinar towards the end of the year. It's planning season, as I said, and just to kick off and strong for the 2024 and begin your 2025 correct, which means including representation and planning to your practice.
Thank you, ma'am. You all make sure that you go find Angie on LinkedIn, that you are following her. She does practice what she preaches. She puts out good content on there as well. And I will give you this disclaimer. If you have been in my group and you say, man, you actually make us do it, or you make us go reach out to people and do stuff, Angie is going to make you work as well. So that is your warning. If you are going to go check it out, you are not going to be a spectator. She's all about the earn as you learn. You're going to have to actually put the work in. But Angie, again, thank you. I am going to say goodbye to our audience. You all enjoy the rest of Tuesday, and I will see you all next week.
You're welcome, Erica. See you soon.